Recording started. Recording started.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Eyes of Life show. My name is Yolanda Schubert. I am your host, and I would like to discuss with our panel today the mandate for leadership with Project 2025. This project provides a foundation created by the Heritage Foundation and one Washington, D.C. Under this project, we're going to discuss 13 topics that I point out to be most important. Along with other topics, but this 900 topic is most important for all of the United States citizens to read so they can make the right decision when it comes down to some voting. So the first part we're going to discuss is going to be the education, the Department of Education. Public, what it says about pre-K to high school. Public education wiping out Head Start and other support for low-income students and withdrawing federal oversight of public schools, cutting the nation's free school meal program, eliminating the Head Start program. What are your ideas and how do you feel about that with this program that they're trying to cut in the Project 2025? And these things can be also found on pages 319 through 361. Denise, can you give me some insight on pre-K to high school with the Head Start, other support, low-income students, withdrawing the federal oversight of the public school, cutting the nation's free public school meals, and eliminating Head Start programs?
I feel strongly about this because I have a 5-year-old who just got out of pre-K. I feel like if they cut pre-K and a lot of the government funded programs that help schools with these kids, it's going to hurt a lot of families because pre-K helps parents able to work. Like a lot of people don't have the option to get a nanny or have grandparents that can pick up the kids or babysit for them. So having pre-K available for these families play a big part in how they're able to work and how they're able to function in their daily lives. I know for a fact, it would if I didn't have pre-K for her, I most definitely wouldn't have been able to go to work the way that I was able to go to work because her dad works a certain shift. I was working a certain shift. And between the both of us, I didn't have anybody that could just say, okay, well, I'm going to keep, her throughout the day while we're working because everybody is working. And to cut like the funding with the food program, the stuff like that. A lot of people don't get food stamps. A lot of people can't afford to buy and provide food for the household and then turn around and provide food for schools, like so they can have lunch for school. And I honestly think that them cutting it's going to hurt people more by cutting the programs and cutting funding than it would by like it's just it will hurt real bad because a lot of people are going to be affected by it. Not only lower class, middle class, like it's going to hurt everybody because these kids are going to be affected by it because let's be honest, a lot of kids are not getting meals at home. The only meal that they get is in school. And if you cut that program, then you're going to have kids out here that are just starving all day. Like, so, like I said, outside of not having meals for school, cutting the program for, pre-K, it's going to hurt. Right now, I know for a fact that even with my kindergartner, we're providing stuff that most parents didn't have to provide when we were in school. Like our parents didn't have to provide markers and crayons and glue sticks for other kids. The teachers are coming out of pocket, and we all know teachers don't get paid enough. to take care of their own families half the time, let alone have to take care of their classroom. They don't have, like, we have on baby girls list alone right now, each parent every month is to provide some type of snack or some type of juice just for the classroom so that the kids can have snack time. Like, they're limiting. I watched kids today when I took my baby to school in the lunchroom. They're limiting breakfast to these kids, and it's really not it's really not enough to feed them. Like, her school is from kindergarten to 8th grade, and these kids is bigger than us, and they're limited to one bowl of cereal and a little juice box of milk.
And they be hungry. These babies
Yes.
are hungry coming in there. They hungry for sure. Because nobody knows if mom probably worked a third shift, got home, was too tired, asked the big brother or big sister to drop them off to school. They doing their own thing all late, and then the baby could miss breakfast. Or a lot of schools have a box. Like, if you don't want the lunch or the breakfast that's provided, you could put it in the box and the kid could have seconds. That's a thing, you know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of them don't do it. They rather take it home or throw it in the trash. It's very sad.
Yeah. These kids are really going to suffer through Project 2025 if Trump gets into office. These kids are the one that are really going to suffer.
If Trump gets
Well,
into
I thank you
office,
guys I thank you two ladies for your input on pre-K and high school. Maurice, did you have something you were going to say?
yes, this whole Project 2025 is designed for someone like Trump who wants to be a dictator. Dictators have no cut card. A dictator, in Trump's mind, and in his mind only, wants to control every facet of everybody's life. All right, this is how this is set up. This is crazy, you know. And when I look at a list that Yolanda and I, you know, we both agreed upon. I put mine out. She had some, put it together. And Department of Education is one of the cuts. But when you look at what comes behind it, you and I, and the studies for African Americans, you know, you and I, they don't want us knowing about our past. See, the real part of it, white man wants to dominate and control. Trump being an ignorant son. Can I cuss on this? Is it okay? Or you rather I didn't? You know
I want to go through, before we go through that, because we are going to go through that on some of the things that you are discussing, Maurice, we're going to go through that and later questions.
Okay.
And with that, we're going to show. But I also would like to talk about the things that he's planning to cut through college courses, eliminating all the loans, student loans, graduate student loans,
okay,
loans to help the parents of undergrad students.
right.
All these are going to be eliminated. Also, as Maurice was talking, he also talked about getting rid of these HBCUs. That is the number one goal that the government is trying to do. And I would like to hear your input, because this is one thing he says about block, and it's block federal funding for lower income school districts to the Department of Human Services. So he's especially attacking administration for children and their families. So that means to create a formula and administer it to block the grants. So he wants to take away the funding for Black colleges, removing the Gear Up program, eliminating the IDA funding. So and the IDA funding is really also another important topic to discuss that. You're talking about removing education to help with disabled children. So if you have a child that is disabled, that has a learning condition, he wants to cut that funding. He wants to block it. He wants to target them to not receive funding. So what are y'all input on having a specially needs child not receiving or able to go to school to get the education that they could possibly get?
My view
Well,
is what they're doing, it goes back to power and control by white folks. A certain key minority of them want to do all that they can to stop us, not just black folks, but all people. It's terrible. It's just that so it affects me. I'm 70 years old, and they're talking about cutting my Medicare. They're talking about cutting my Social Security. And the main thing I want to know is what's going to happen to the money that you call yourself saving. No
I
one
think
talks about that.
you're right. I also
Well,
think
we're
that
going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that
I'm
when
sorry.
we get to that question.
Mhm.
T, you had a response to
yes,
the Gear Up at HBCUs.
right. I just think that he's trying to take like education is power, and it's a lot of educated black and brown people out here, and I just think that he just is trying to take that away because, like you said, he is a dictator or wants to be that. Like, this isn't a third world country. Black and brown folks fought for their education for years, and I don't think it's going to be easy for him. I think he wants to be able to, like, if it gets to the point where it's an uproar and black people fighting for their education, I think that it'll be a lot of bloodshed, and he'll try to lock us up. So I think that money that you was just talking about, taken away from education, will go into the prison systems and things like that, because he's an advocate for that. He's not an advocate on reform and all of that. He wants to throw him in jail. And I also think that if he takes the funding from those parents and families that do deal with children with special needs, they also, besides education, they also get life skills. And if you take all of that from them, then what are they going to have? You know what I'm saying? They're going to be out here, people, regular people, quote unquote, will be looking at them like they're crazy or whatever the case. And then that's another group of people that they can throw into these prisons and things like that. It's not as many mental hospitals and stuff like that like it used to be. I think he just wants to throw everybody in jail, honestly, because that would be the power. Because not for nothing, white people aren't the majority anymore. It's Spanish people and African American. So this is why he's like trying to get us to kind of vote for him, and this is why it's a blinder on a lot of people's faces. They're not thinking about what was, prior to. They thinking about the now, and everything that he's saying sounds good to them, and it's not like that. It's actually BS. It's actually a lot of BS.
It is BS.
I
And
also agree. I agree with you 100%. But we're going to move on to our second question, the Affordable Health Care Act, which can be found between pages 449 to 470. Now, this is something that's dear to a lot of us that are collecting Social Security, and we need that Affordable Care Health Act, or some of the people that are working but they're not able to get medical insurance through their employer. So this is things that this project is saying. It plans to increase between 5.8% and 7% next year. The third straight year, health benefit costs would have risen by more than 5%. And then employers estimate that their health care benefit costs would increase 7% in 2025 on average. Now, this is what they want to do. They want to eliminate the Affordable Care Act, to cut Medicaid benefits, increase Medicare Part D, prescription drug prices, eliminate reproductive freedom nationwide, and create a life tax on limited and receiving Medicaid. So you have people, and I want to talk. I want y'all to hear me when I say the Medicare and the Healthcare Act. Under that, you're going to find also the Medicare, the Medicaid. Those things go hand in hand a lot of times with people that suffer from disability, that have to, that get hurt on the job early, and they have to file for Social Security because they now have ran out that short-term and that long-term disability. So their next means of income is to collect Social Security. And then you have people that also that can't work and they get Medicaid. So, and you have those that are sick that need Medicare and Medicaid to coincide. So when I look at this, one of my things I'm concerned with is the increasing for prescription drugs. You have so many people that are out there that are suffering with different medical illnesses, and they have put a cap on that right now to allow people to be able to get insulin and other prescription drugs without paying $500 a month just for insulin, or $800 a month just for insulin, and other prescriptions that will cost them $200 and $300. Now there's a cap on it. They're trying to remove that. And then when you talk about the Medicaid, okay, the Medicaid, yes, that falls under like that welfare program where you can get medical insurance under Medicaid. But there's a lot of times people insurance doesn't cover enough. They have to go get hospital treatments. For those that also get home health aid care, you can't get one of your loved ones under Medicare to help care for you under Medicare, but you can get it under Medicaid. This allows a child, a grandchild, a sister, a brother to help with a loved one. So they want to take all that away. How would you feel about that? Your loved one not being able to get that Affordable Health Care Act?
Personally, I think it's the worst thing because of the whole Project 25. There is nothing in it that helps America. There's nothing in it that helps the public. It's designed to help businesses, not us, not people to go to work each and every day. Now you're looking at all those things that are life-saving for people not only my age, but people in general, our children, folks going to and from work, folks trying to just do it the right way are struggling. And they're going to be struggling even more if this kicks in. Now, if there was a way, but the thing about it is they only look at it one way, right? And it's hard to reach out to those who call themselves being in control and doing the things that they are doing. This is where we lose out at. That's why I'm glad you're doing this show, Yolanda. I hope we can get more and more people on who want to express themselves as vocally as they can. This is serious. There's no way around this. I'd like to see more men on here, especially young guys, because we have a lot of young fathers out here, young mothers. We have a lot of single parents. They need to know all the stuff that they're not taking for granted, but it's become part of their lifestyle. Then all of a sudden it's removed from them through no fault of their own. They need to know this in advance. That's why voting this year is crucial. Voting this year can determine your life and your kids' life and kids after that. You know,
Exactly.
this whole piece is going to change significantly.
I agree. I agree. And anyone else want to touch base on that?
Well,
Okay, so if no one else wants to touch base on that,
I said my mic was muted. I'm sorry. I said I agree with that 100%.
okay.
Hello, Ms. Allen.
Also, the next question we want to address is job protection, union workers and workers. So remember at one point, it was hard to terminate if you had a union job. That means your union rep would help you out. But if you look at what's in this Project 2025, okay, it makes it easier for employers to get rid of workers. Also, get rid of workers that's under a union or in a union contract. Okay, they want to ban public employee unions. Okay, under this project, they also want to eliminate and end labor agreements. Okay, prevailing wage requirements. Allow states to ban labor unions, eliminate overtime protection, and choose the following nation minimum wage. Eliminate the child labor rule and protect the children from working in mines and meatpacking plants. All this is going, how are you going to eliminate these things? But this is what they say they want to eliminate. They want to eliminate this under the Project 2025. So we won't be protected anymore with this child labor law. We won't be protected anymore with saying, you worked me for 32 hours straight and didn't want to pay me double time or time and a half. So what are your feelings about this?
Being a former union worker myself, my views are like this. At that time, we used to be forced to work. Yolanda, you and I work in the same line of work for a while. We used to talk about that. However, in this way, it's going to be more situations happening on the job, more fights, more people getting terminated. With no union protection, it's going to be survival of whoever comes forward first with whatever complaint they may have. We've seen this happen before. And without union protection, the employer can do whatever it is they want. Employees serve and work like slaves. We don't need to go back into that type of environment. You mentioned children. It was unions who created the middle class. It was unions who created a 5-day work week. It was unions who took kids as young as 9, 10, 11 years old, working and doing whatever it is they could do, and they needed it. Back in the 20s and 30s, it was okay for them to do that. Some kids or a lot of kids missed school because they wanted to go to work or had to. Parents couldn't make it work without having the children work, but they would work them to death and not care about that child, and they could go back to that once again. Our kids don't need to be dealing with that. They're dealing with enough stuff as it is, just being a kid and living in this type of environment.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Yes.
I also I agree with that, and I feel like that if that happens, then the turnover rate for jobs are going to be crazy, and they're not going to care about the employees that they have. So no matter if you were working there for 30 years or whatever, you can be fired because we got somebody else whose application is in and they willing to work and go through the BS.
Exactly. So, and when you look at that, it's like saying we want to bring back slavery in a sense, because remember, if you remember in slavery, they can work a slave from sun up to sundown before and only allowing them if they allowed them to take a water break, or if they allowed them to take a 2-minute break just to grab something to eat. And a lot of times they didn't. They stood out there and they worked and they sweated in that hot sun. And it's because they're not in a hot sun, and maybe they're working in a factory, or maybe they're working in a building. It's still some type of form of slavery when you don't put these type of laws and keep these type of laws in place to where though they have a labor. If you don't have a labor contract that states that these employees have to follow It's like under the EEOC, the Equal Employee Opportunity. If you want to get rid of that, then all these people that are out here working, you're not going to have anyone to back you or help you. So, I am in agreement with everyone that's talking about this today. And then our next question is going to be on American history, the truth. And this is what, Maurice, you were talking about earlier, which goes back to the Department of Education, eliminating these HBCUs. You know, a lot of these HBCU schools are definitely going to talk about the truth of history. They're going to definitely talk about what occurred. They're not going to sugarcoat or water it down. So when you talk about eliminating and putting the federal government in charge of what our children are going to learn and what they're going to be taught, as far as the educational system and in schools, the government is going to be the one that's going to teach them what they want them to learn, not the truth. So I think we also have an issue with that because they want to eliminate a lot of factors that took place in American history. One factor was Christopher Columbus discovered America. Another factor was they all sat down and with the Pilgrims and had a great big feast. So there's a lot of things that were lied to our children, and we were brainwashed as kids growing up under this European history that they gave us to learn. So what are your opinions on how removing certain parts and the truth of American history and have it whitewashed down?
Well, since you
Honestly
mentioned,
speaking, as somebody who has graduated, sorry, Uncle Maurice, but honestly speaking, as somebody who's recently graduated from school, not too long ago, I say that American history in general is important, but if you're when you're in school, it takes a real teacher and a real human being to really teach you the truth. Because honestly, a lot of teachers are just gonna go with within the curriculum or which just in the textbooks of what you're supposed to go with. It takes a real honest teacher to really teach you the real brutal history. And all honesty, I didn't learn about the real history of Christopher Columbus up until 6th grade, and it took our teacher who didn't go with the school curriculum to actually teach us that. And then once I got to high school, teachers were watering history down as if it really didn't happen or it was just some little thing in the mud that just so happened to happen. Like a lot of teachers don't care now, and I feel like if Project 2025 takes place, it's just going to continue on as if they're just watering it down. So like I said, it takes an honest teacher, a real, because even now, before 2025 happened, teachers were just watering it down. So with 2025 happening, if it does happen, it's just going to continue to be watered down regardless.
I agree with that. Now, I'm a graduate of Cheney. And Zanad, did you go to Cheney at one time? Then you have an idea.
No, I remember us talking about it, but I never went.
Okay. Anyway, what's going on now is that the school is under the Pennsylvania Higher Academic System of Education, and they've been screwing Cheney for years. Okay, Cheney's the oldest HBCU in the country, and right now is fighting for survival. Seriously, and I'm involved with a group of guys about how to navigate through this and get the money that's owed to them. The school is owed over $1 billion, not million, billions, because the school has been handicapped all these years about what's being owed, and the entire school conference has screwed them around. That's where they are. But getting back to everything else in the educational part, I'm partial to Cheney because that's where I went. But same time, I look at everything else. Whoever is in school now, they're gonna get screwed around because if you're paying for education and there's money out there to provide a safe and worthwhile education for the type of jobs and professions that you're looking for, you'll never reach it because they're going to soak up all the money. And everything out here requires that. We're not even thinking about if you graduate and the opportunities that are going to be there. Let's say you do graduate. Look at the opportunities and how they're going to soak up. Part of Project 2025 is they're going to remove people who are, Yolanda, I know you know about this. I appreciate all that you're talking about right now. But they want to remove 50,000 career government employees and replace them with Trump folks who will do whatever it is they want he wants them to do. Okay?
Absolutely.
That's the part of
Absolutely.
that we need to talk about more. You may have GS 14s, 15s, doesn't matter. If they want to put Trump, what they call kiss butt, in that office, they can do that. They're looking to hire them now. They feel that this Project 2025 is going to go off, right? And they got stuff called the fix already in because they feel that they're going to have what it takes, to get him in office. He's already has a revenge mindset. Where does that leave for you and I, our kids, our elders? There's nothing going to be out there for us unless we all come together and vote. All right? Let this be a come to Jesus moment. You've got to vote. And one of the things that gets me right now, and I need y'all's help on this, ladies, how come 50-year-old men and women don't see what we see? All right? They don't see the importance. Trump has bamboozled some of them. Others are just following what they see their friends do. There has to be a way to reach these folks, especially young men. And I sit back and I watch a lot of this, and I know I can't talk to them at the moment, but I'm talking to the ladies right now, each and every one of you, because you all can make a difference with some of the younger guys, right? That's why I'm hoping, Yolanda, in the next future broadcasts, that we have a lot more young men on, all right, and young women who are in disagreement with what we're saying so that we can convince them otherwise, so they can understand what the civil rights piece was all about, all right?
Absolutely. I agree. But we're going to move on.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the reducing of Social Security. The reducing of Social Security, now that can be found on between 712 and 724. So based on the Project 2024, the FRA would cut Social Security benefits according to Center for America's Program Analyst and FRA of 69. So they want to also push back the age where you can collect Social Security, okay? And then they want to somewhat penalize you at the same time if you collect it early. So under Project 2025, it calls for the Republican caucus, and I want you to understand me when I say this, to cut the benefits for all new retirees between roughly 12.5% and 14.3%. By the time it's fully phased, in addition, it will cost a median wage retiree who earns $70,000 in 2022 and turns 62 by 2034, thousands of dollars. So just imagine Zanai. Zanai's nowhere near ready to retire at 2022. Okay? She's nowhere near going to retire or be 60.
Hello.
I don't know what happened.
Me either, cousin.
It just whipped mute. The government. She always say the government tapping her stuff. With me.
They definitely tapping. They tapping.
It's getting ready to be told that what they work for is not enough.
Absolutely.
Like I seen somebody post, like one of my mom's old neighbors. He posts. He was like, "I'm glad that my mom started me like an IRA account as a teenager, something that was going to gain interest on it, like over the years. So when I'm able to retire, I have that to set back on top of something that he opened up as an adult, because he's like, I worked my whole life since I was a teenager, and you're telling me that when I hit 65 in 20 years, that I may not have my social security benefits. I may not be able to have my retirement package and things like that." And it's like, he was like, at least with the money that I put to the side by collecting, interest on it, I'll be able to at least say, okay, I have something to where I can be comfortable with. I don't have to sit there at 75 and 80 and still be out there trying to work a part-time job just to
Absolutely.
make ends meet.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's really sad.
It's
Like,
it's gonna be bad out here for everybody.
everybody.
It's
I
gonna
feel like this is literally trying to keep the poor poor and the rich rich, because this don't affect them at all. Them
no.
cutting school costs does not affect them. Them cutting social security, let's be real. 90% of the people that probably created this whole situation is already at the retirement age to where they already received their benefits.
Right.
Okay. Or at an age to where, or even their income or their bank account is already stating that they don't necessarily need their retirement. Like, they're okay.
No,
But for
absolutely.
people, so for people that are middle class and lower class, it's going to be extremely hard. Just the cost of living alone right now is disrespectfully high.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, my daughter's sitting there looking for a one-bedroom apartment. They want $1,700 for a one-bedroom apartment.
One bedroom. And it's probably like the one bedrooms aren't even worth it. 1,700. What happened to 750? And
And
and like,
because it's quote unquote a luxury apartment because it has a washer and dryer in it. It has a gym in it. No, listen, if these people want to work out, it's called go to the gym. If
absolutely.
you want a washer and dryer in your apartment, back in the day, we had to put a washer and dryer in our apartment. But to sit there and charge these kids $1,700 just so they can have a washer and dryer in their apartment is ridiculous.
Hmm.
It's crazy. And it's like, and I had to, and I'm asking her, like, granted, you make a nice little amount of money, but how much, like, you still got food? You don't have no kids. You don't get no food stamps. I'm like, you have to pay for your health insurance. All of that, it has to come out your paychecks.
Electricity, you gotta pay for water. You know,
That part, gas.
yes, all of that. You gotta pay how to get. You need to be able to get around one place from one place to the next. I don't care if you
And
have a car and you need gas. I don't care if you ride a bike, your bike get messed up, you gotta fix it. I don't care if you're Ubering and Lyft. That's extra money coming out of your pocket. It's a lot.
it is like, my ex-husband works for the post office, and his fiance has a really good job also. And I'm talking to him the other day, and he was like, yo, we struggling. I know for a fact mortgage is cheaper than rent. So that's a good thing. But he's like, with the bills alone
Right,
and living in the county, I know for a fact, because I was out there for 7 years, the gas and electric is under one bill. It's all under Pico.
right,
So you're looking at $500, maybe $600 a month just for your Pico bill, your water bill, another $300 because it's just extra high.
right.
With your car note, car insurance, and the fact that you have kids, food, it's
Oh,
like
oh yeah.
they're talking. He's like, he said that their total income together is well over $5,000 a month, and they still are struggling after paying off bills and just trying to buy food and household needs and things of that nature. It's like, if I could save $100 a month, I'm lucky.
Facts. I hear you. That's so
And
true.
that's sad.
So yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I can imagine in T, you have young kids just like I have young kids. Our oldest may be adults and they able to, work and do things, but our little ones, when
Yep.
they become of age and it's time for them to get out there on their own, can you imagine how hard it is? Literally how hard it's going to be for them. Back in the day, our parents could say, all right, you 18, you grown, you got a job, you can go ahead and move out and do
Right.
your own thing. And you would be okay because, cost of living wasn't that high. You can get a nice little 1-bedroom apartment for $700 and
Absolutely.
be okay.
Yep.
But I'm thinking about my 5-year-old right now, okay, who in 18 to 20 years, when it's time for her to be
Yeah.
out there, how hard it's going to be for her to survive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Believe it is now, it's hard to survive because being 21 in this economy is hard. Like my mom said, looking for apartments, they want you to pay between 13 to almost $2,000 for an apartment that's only 560 something square feet.
Right.
That's nothing.
Right.
Like
That's a positive.
that's literally my bedroom at the moment. Like my bedroom is about that size.
Right.
So y'all want to pay for something that's the size of my bedroom now that's between 13 to $2,000, and then that's not including if the apartment or the landlord who owns the building is actually going to include the amenities and different utilities that's inside of that that's going on. Like I know certain apartment buildings that I was looking at, you had to pay like a $50 flat fee for like water, and that was just once a month, and then your electricity depending on how much you use. Now that's something different because you can go based off of how much electricity you use. And
Right.
9 times out of 10, we're not home because most of us is working 2 to 3 jobs, just
Right.
trying to supply something that we actually need. And it's
Right.
bad that we gotta work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jobs just to actually supply something that we actually need, as far as water, food, electricity, gas, all that good stuff. Like, not to
And the
bring
thing is,
God
a
into the
lot of
situation, but God gave all this stuff for free.
and the crazy thing is, a lot of landlords are putting electric stoves, electric heating, which makes the cost of your electricity go up
Hold
higher
on, Yolanda.
than it would originally have been. If you had a house where it was like,
Hold on.
okay, I pay gas for this, I pay electric for that, you can budget out how much you got to pay every month and how much electricity to use or how much gas to use or keep your thermostat at a certain temperature to keep your house warm. Now a lot of these houses that you see or apartments that you see, they have the baseboard heaters that are ran by electric,
Right.
which now your electric bill is going from 150 to $200 a month to almost $600 a month, and the only gas you're really paying is because the water heater is
Yeah.
heating up your water.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I want to say this. Y'all talking about working people that are working. This is basically pertaining to people that are not working. They're getting Social Security. So if it's rough for the working people, how bad do you think it's going to be for these people that can't get out there and really work and that are collecting Social Security? Because that's where these elders or these people that can't work are going to have a problem. So if it's hard for the working people, so if they're getting their Social Security that will cut them in a 1 year span of $4,140 to, it can go up to even $8,892. And this is just for somebody that's making $70,000 a year. What about those that are not making $70,000 a year, or that made $50,000 or $40,000 a year? They're not going to be able to survive, period. With the
No,
way,
they're not.
I mean, just right now, they're not going to be able to survive with what they're talking about trying to get them for Social Security. And you're talking about a person that's working. A person that working can't survive it. How are these seniors and these people that are going to be getting Social Security if they have that opportunity to reduce it. So it's not
It's definitely gonna be hard for the
for the
seniors because
or
actually helping out seniors, I see how hard it is now, just for those that like my great grandmother, for example. Her and my grandfather, they're no longer working. They're retired and they're going based off of what they get once a month with their income for our Social Security and stuff like that. And even now it's hard. Like you gotta budget this out, you have to budget that out, and even as a worker person you still have to budget this out and budget that out, and it's hard to really actually get out there and actually be able to pay your bills and know that, okay, well, I can have this left over just to say I want to go shopping or something,
Right.
or
And for me
or
to
say
watch
that you
that,
gotta go ahead.
but what
sorry,
about
not like for me to watch it, it's like she said, my mom and pop are literally retired, and to watch them have to figure out, okay, to pay this, okay, with the Social Security that they do get, which is not much, but it's like either I'm gonna either pay this or I'm going to get my prescription. Like I know for a fact, some of Pop prescriptions it's $500-$600
Right.
just for
Right.
a prescription,
exactly? And
and
that's after getting help from the government to
Right.
cut it
right,
down.
and
Because
that's what I'm
right
saying, and with their, and that's just off of their.
now,
And that's what I'm saying. But for them, like right now, just being on Social Security and things like that is a struggle now. So for them to lower it or to try to just eliminate it, period, okay, this is literally going to affect them tremendously. It's like their cost, like with the cost of living being the way that it is, these people are not going to be able to survive. It's like, okay, do I buy food or do I get my medicine? Or am I going to pay my mortgage? Or am I going to get my medicine? Or am I going to buy food? Like it's like playing a game of like
Trying to.
what am I going to be able to afford at this
Right.
point?
Right.
It's already a struggle now, and they actually get their Social Security. So without it, and with them cutting it and lowering it, these people are going to suffer. Like it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder than what it is now. It's literally going to force them, if they're still able, to have to say, you know what? I know I'm 90 years old, but I got to go get a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You going to mess around and see your grandparents and your great grandparents out there flipping burgers just to
Absolutely.
try to pay your bill, just to try to
agree.
just to try to.
I agree
Make
with
ends
that.
meet.
I
Yes,
agree with that 100%. So
I do
let's move
too.
on to. You say something, Maurice?
No, I haven't said a thing. Keep on talking.
I think that was
No,
because of Ella.
Okay.
I was saying
So,
I agree with
so
that as well.
Come on, slow
also
down.
talk about Medicare. Period. So based on Project 2025, Medicare Part D reform. Okay, now a lot of people don't know that that's the part that actually helps people with Social Security with their Medicaid and their Medicare. That part right there is what helps control the price of the prescription drugs. That's the part that actually helps us pay for our drugs. But if you get rid of that and you cut it and you block it and you block the grants, okay, the CAP, okay, the CAPA grant, all these things you're willing to block, okay? Once you block it, you know, this funding that was going to that Part D is now going to be null and void because they're not going to be able to keep their Part D. Now, these people, like y'all said, these are working people that are struggling paying their medications for their medications and everything. And then you got them already struggling on Social Security to pay for their medications. Now, if they get rid of Part D, they're really going to struggle. So,
I'm gonna be honest with you, Mom. Like this right here,
survive or die. That's going to be the question. Survive or die.
and that's exactly what I was about to say. I feel like it's going to be a legal way. I feel like it's murdering people legally. It's because if they can't afford their medicine, whether you're on Social Security or whether you're working, and a lot of these people need it for diabetes, dementia, whatever it is. Okay, these medicines are needed. Asthma. Okay, these are like chronic illnesses that these people actually need their medicines. So, what happens when an asthmatic doesn't have their inhaler? What happens when a diabetic doesn't get their insulin? It's easily for them to die. So, with them cutting it off, it's eliminating people, and it's doing it
And as
Exactly.
someone
legally.
who does
And it's
have
doing it
asthma,
legally.
and as someone who does
Exactly.
have asthma, it's going to be hard because it's hard now just trying to make sure I have all my actual my asthma medication, because asthma medication is not cheap, and you talking about paying almost $80 just for an inhaler, and that's just out of pocket costs. And maybe if I have a good RX discount or something, so it definitely depends. And it's with Project 2025, it's gonna be harder to even get anything else. And as somebody who has severe chronic asthma, it's definitely it's a legal way of killing somebody.
Yeah.
I think y'all putting that awesomely well. But I have a question, and I'm going to, from here, start directing questions to individuals. And I have questions about the women, about our rights as women. And under this project, I would like for Deneen to go first and take about 5 minutes, and then I would like for Zanai to go first as a younger adult to talk about these things within Project 2025 that's being withdrawn as far as talking about women. So what they're trying to do now is say, okay, a woman, if you're raped, if you're molested, and you get pregnant, you can't get abortion. You can't abort that baby. They're trying to literally claim that your baby at 11 weeks or a 11-week pregnancy is not yet a baby. It is a living soul at this point, but it's not a baby. It's actually an embryo. But if you find out, okay, I was molested, I was raped, and now you're going to tell me I got to keep this baby, I got to let this baby, I got to feel this baby grow inside of me, that's going to remind you of that tragedy. Every day that you look at that child, or every day that you feel that child growing inside of you, Deneen, how would you feel to watch your child go through that? Because she's young, she's been molested, or she was raped. How would you feel to watch your child go through that? Or would you prefer your child say, if your child say, Mom, I want to end this pregnancy, at a time to where you're not going to hurt your child, okay, mentally, or harm her physically, or put her in a destitute situation where it could possibly take her life?
As a mother, and a mother of two daughters, okay, I would really I would feel bad. I would be hurt on so many different levels, because to watch my child have to suffer in that way, mental health is really a big thing. And it's not talked about in our community, and a lot of people of all races push it to the side, and they'll say get over it. And let's be real, being raped, being molested, okay, that's not something you can just get over. That's not something you could just walk away from and say, "Oh, I'll be all right." But to sit there and have to carry the child of your molester, okay, that does that. Not only does it does mental damage, it does physical damage, because when you're mentally and emotionally unstable, that does a lot of physical damage to your body. Okay, and it shuts down. And you have people out here killing themselves because of that, because they can't cope with living. So to put that on a young woman who has been assaulted, and to tell her that, oh, you have no choice but to keep this child and to bring this child in the world. Granted, there are options such as adoption, but to even put this young lady through those type of circumstances of emotional damage and mental damage, okay, that right there could cause more harm than good. That could cause more harm than good. You have young women now, like before this even is been talked about, that was forced to carry these kids, or forced to say, well, you're not getting an abortion, that have drank themselves to death, that have started using drugs just to try to, get rid of the child that they were forced to keep in these type of circumstances. And they did more harm to not only themselves but to that child. It puts people in it puts people in predicaments, into situations that shouldn't even it shouldn't even exist at this point. Even though it does, it puts them in situations, in positions to where it's like they have to make hard choices. It's my life or theirs. And like I said, it's not only
I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
like not
ahead.
I'm gonna say, not only does it just, like I said, not only does it do mental and emotional damage to that young lady, okay, it does physical damage. Because when your mind is not right, your emotional stability is not right, it takes a physical toll onto your body. It makes you sick. And it's like, okay, so you would rather this child walk around mentally, emotionally, and physically in distress because you forced her to carry a child of her attacker.
Exactly. So another thing, Zanai, I want you to piggyback off of how would you feel personally if this was you? If this was you, because and I want to give you 5 minutes to address that that right there, and then I want to move on to Talisha, and I want you to tell me about this abortion pill Raymond is currently being approved up to 70 days, and we know that 70 days is equal only 10 weeks, which still puts the embryo still within an embryo. It has not formed to a sex yet as a baby. So Zanai piggyback off of Deneen, and then Talisha, I would like you to address that abortion pill.
Okay, so as a young lady in today's world, it's definitely hard. And me personally, if it was me, I would definitely feel some kind of way if I was to be forced to keep my attacker's child, because one, not only was I attacked and I was innocent in the situation, but now you're forcing me to keep a child that was forced on me. And who's to say that I was ready for that child? You know, or who's to say that I have the right mindset to take care of that child? And that's what a lot of people are not looking at. It takes a lot to raise a child. And for somebody who doesn't have kids but has siblings and watch my mother raise children, it takes a lot to take care of a child. And not only do you have to be physically prepared, but you also have to be emotionally and mentally prepared. So to sit there and to have to be forced to raise and actually grow my attacker's child, that's not something I would be able to do. And granted, I consider myself a very strong person, especially with a lot of things that I have witnessed in life, but I don't believe that would be something that I would be able to physically and mentally and emotionally take on, due to the amount of trauma and having to relive the situation of me being attacked in a situation like that. And it's hard. And even now, like, that's taking away a lot of rights, and that's just with Project 2025. But even in today's world now, it's hard trying to get away from different attackers because you can honestly just go out and try to enjoy your night and have a good time, and because you said no to somebody, you can be attacked. And to know that that can happen, and to know that if Project 25 takes place, that if I was to ever become pregnant by that attacker, that I would have to raise that child, grow that child, and actually build a bond with the child that I didn't want or that I was forced to have. That would be a lot, and I wouldn't. Not only would it affect me, but it would affect my child in the future because now I'm not mentally correct, I'm not emotionally correct, and I'm not physically correct. But now, when that child is growing older and I'm raising that child, I will never be able to look at that child as if that was a child created out of love. That was a child created out of something that I actually wanted. No, that was a child that was created out of an attack. That was a child created by force. Not because I wanted to have that child, not because me and my future spouse were planning to have that child. No, it's I would have I would have a first.
So would you
I
say
didn't
it's
have a
basically
choice.
a nightmare? It would be a child created out of nightmare.
Right, like I would literally have a nightmare because now is me trying to raise a child that constantly gives me it's me raising a child and knowing that that child was created by attack, and now I had to look at that child and be like, or I feel like I'm disgusted with that child because I know what that child was created out of, and that's not fair to the child because the child did nothing to me, but because that child was created out of force and out of an attack, now I'm disgusted with that child because of the whole situation that took place just for that child to become above. And that's not fair to the child, nor is it fair to the woman who was in attack.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Thank you for your feedback and your personal opinion about that. T, the abortion pill, the Raymond, which is currently approved, and this is a pill that can prevent what Zanai was just talking about in experience of being attacked by, an attacker or molested by someone on the outside or even an inside relative. And this pill can prevent that pregnancy. How would you feel about being able to get that pill, prevent that pregnancy from taking place and exceeding to the 9th month? How would you prefer in preventing that pregnancy from going on? You have up to 10 weeks, and like I said, 10 weeks is only about 2.5 months.
Right.
16 weeks is about 4 months. So that's when your baby begins to form at 16 weeks. Okay, you start to realize that, okay, this is now starting to form into an actual fetus. It's not an embryo. So by 10 weeks, the sex to determine what the sex of the baby is has not been determined. The sex of or what the baby is going to be. So that has not been determined by 10 weeks. Would you be in agreement with knowing that that pregnancy was caused by a rapist or an unwanted pregnancy by a molester? How would you feel about being forced to carry that child, or would you be willing to accept the pill to terminate?
I would absolutely accept the pill to terminate because just piggybacking off of what the girls were saying, to carry your attacker's baby, to just live with that agony and all of that distress, mentally it'll take a toll, physically it'll take a toll. Like granted, some women can do it, some have done it. You know what I'm saying, and have raised strong children or whatever the case, but I personally, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I am not opposed at all. by the police. Even if they didn't want to do the whole traditional abortion, the pill will just make more sense. So yeah, I'm not opposed to that.
Agree. And I think the pill also is a good strategy for unplanned pregnancies. You can be in a marriage, you can be in a relationship, and then you find out, oh, well, my career is just ready to take off on the ground, and your marriage is just getting ready to take off, and pop up an unwanted pregnancy, and your spouse and you sit down and you agree, well, right now we don't want to bring a child into this world because financially we're not stable enough to bring it into the world. Financially, well, we're just getting our finances together. We're just really getting our lives together. And then, you pop up and you're having a baby.
Right.
And as long as both parties agree wholeheartedly that having a child or bringing a child into this world right now is not a good idea because I'm working one schedule, you're working one schedule. We don't have time to really give a child the attention that a child is going to need. So, that's my intake on that. When I want to talk about the women and the rights of being taken away from a woman. But Maurice, I would like for you to talk about the military using Trump's idea of using the country's military against our own domestic predecessors. So in page 91 through 106, okay, and he wants to prioritize the defense against China, and I agree with that. However, but to rely on our allies to make a higher and a stronger approach in protecting countries that are still set on against attacking the United States, such as China, Asia, Russia, Iran, the Middle East, and North Korea. We should be, as America, as United States, as a president, the hierarchy should be coming up with our own strategy to protect our country. Also, with using our U.S. troops to actually go against our own people who's just exercising their amendment rights to protest.
Right.
So how do you feel about them wanting to control that? They want to give this control to say, all right, I'm going to literally and let these people, I'm going to control how I want this situation to control. So if I say it's a rally like, let's say the George Floyd rally, how do you feel about, one, our allies protecting our country with a higher approach than our own country, as well as the troops coming into play when there's a peaceful or a protest or a rally?
I feel that it's something that is designed to fail. It's designed to fail because what we're doing is bringing about a situation that we're not prepared for. And that's the ugly part about it. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because there's no plan in sight to take about to think that the military is supposed to be involved. He's going to have to change a lot of stuff, and he feels that he can do that. And that's the part that really, really sucks with this project 2025. There's no degree of common sense put in it. None. It's all about power.
Right. So if he can give if he's under this, if he gets away with this dictatorship that he wants to have this country under, he's going to dictate. So we're underneath a dictation. We have no say so. So if he can dictate under that dictatorship, if he advised the Attorney General, the United States Attorney General,
Mhm.
to say, these troops, they're planning to protect, make a protest against X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
It's no different on how they threw the hoses and dogs on African Americans back in the 60s and the 50s trying to gain their rights. They were
Right.
protesting. It was a peaceful protest. There was no reason for them to turn the dogs on them. There was no reason for them to turn the hose on them. But
Right.
if this is what he's planning on doing, what do you think that's going to do to us?
Well, that's just it. They don't think about us as being human at this point. They figure they can do whatever it is they want to do, and we're going to have to continue fighting the best way that we can because we don't matter. We really do not matter to them. That's the sad part about it. Knowing that you don't even matter to someone who's supposedly supposed to have your best interests. And there's no such thing as that anymore.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I agree. So also, Maurice, this is a question for you.
Yes.
Slavery in the Jim Crow era. So based on page 692, the project proposes stripping the Department of Justice integral against the Civil Rights Division, which defend Americans of color in the civil rights cases. This would open a floodgates for bad actors. So if this will open up that, and it will stop the discrimination, okay, against Americans of color, in every aspect of our lives, basically, our voting rights, our housing, our employment and education.
Right.
So if he proposed to strip it all,
Mhm.
where are we going to stand? Now we're going to be back to that cluster of going backwards and reverse.
Well, that's
So
the
this
whole
is what
plan.
he's talking
That's the whole
about doing
plan.
under Project 2025.
Project
How
20.
are you feeling about going backwards?
I don't want to go backwards in anything that I do. But that's the unfortunate part. Project 2025, we don't have the recourse. We don't have what's needed for us to advance and protect ourselves. And they've made it quite clear that we don't matter. I don't care who says what, we don't matter. So it's going to be a hell of a fight because that is what matters. It has to. Because in that sense, think about it. Think about what they're trying to do and what they can and will do. And it's ugly any way you look at it. It's ugly. And it's only going to get worse because they have what it takes to make it worse. We
Absolutely.
have no control over anything at the moment. And that's the painful part of it. Because in their eyesight, there's nothing that you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. We are controlling any and everything. And this is how they feel, and this is what they're going to do, given that there's no recourse. When you have people in that state saying that there's no recourse, they mean it. They mean it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. This is also another question for you, Maurice.
Yeah.
Being a man of color,
Yeah.
the project also talks about police immunity. Based on the project, it wants to strip the original way of law enforcement that's being done now by the funding of police to take it back to a time where the laws that were put in place, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to make the beginning, that goes back to a sense of beginning of policing.
Right.
So with this is, they're talking about a law that allows the police to get away with enforcing the law how they deem fit. And with doing that, they are all in disbelief that
Mm-hmm.
anything such as a chokehold and a no knock or no warranty or police brutality have actually occurred. They don't feel like these things are taking place. So as we see George Floyd, all these people that have been killed by police brutality.
Right.
Whether you were a woman, whether you were a man, people of color have been brutally gunned down, chokeholds in their own homes. Breonna Taylor, all these things. So how do you feel about them wanting to take the policing back to the beginning of policing? Because remember where policing came from. It was brought in by the enslavers.
Yes.
To keep the slaves under control, and for the people who were hiring the slave catchers to catch the slaves.
Right.
So what
That's
do
where
you
it came
think
from.
about that coming back?
The way I feel about it is, it's almost impossible for us to make anything work. That's how I feel about it. And it's going to get worse due to the fact that they're trying to take away every form of recourse. Everything that we can do and have done, this is what they're doing. And it leaves a terrible, terrible time to do anything in this country. Right? Think about it.
Right.
Think about it. If you have no recourse, then whatever it is they want to do or say, they can do. They can do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So the white man, and I hate to put it to you like this, but that is their plan. And it's a plan designed for failure for us.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So what is your take on, I'm going to talk about immigration. And I would like for all of us to take a few minutes, just a few minutes, because we're coming down to a time frame now where it's now 5:47, and we have about a half an hour to actually get ready to wrap this up. So, immigration. Trump has a habit of saying that the Biden administration is the reason why our immigration is so out of control. But when I look at the timelines of immigration, which he talks about immigration on page 574, as well as part of N21. When you want to talk about immigration, let's go back to 1924.
Okay.
So immigration, the Act of 1924, this was signed into law by President Calvin Coolidge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in May 24th of 1924, the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, Congress enacted the Immigration Reform and Control Act as of Simpson-Mazzoli, the act, or the Reagan amnesty. And President Ronald Reagan signed that into law as of 1986. And let me get the timelines on these immigrations. So it behooves me for him to blame this on the Biden administration. This is the ignorance of these ones that sit up there in power that are piggybacking off their generational wealth, that want to come up with these things that's in this project. Because, see, they're not poor. So, they got generational wealth. They're not worrying about their children, their grandchildren, because they continue to build their generational wealth. Now, 1970, the civil unrest in Central America, refugees. In 1981, the Commissioner on Immigration, Refugees Policy. January 1982, another immigration policy May of 1985, another immigration policy. Now this time, Senator Alan Simpson, okay, he has something to do with getting that bill passed by the Senate. November of 1986, another immigration reform that was done by Simpson Mazzoli, the act, and also President Reagan was in agreement with it. And he also created that employers always require to request a form, the I-9, to any employees hired. That was to protect them against that immigration, but it's being used for other things now.
Right.
So also from 2005 to 2010, these people are trying to say that Biden, under the Biden administration, 450,000 refugees and immigrants were coming into this country long before the Biden administration. From all the way up to 2010, at least over 400,000 immigrants had already entered in to the United States. And this was as of George Bush Sr.
The thing that gets me about that is no one has ever
including his wife.
why they're coming in. Why are they coming in? There's something missing somewhere for these people to want to come in. Think about it. Why are they coming in?
Because this is the land of the free. This is supposed to be the land of opportunity.
Okay. But there's still a reason why they're coming in. Something is missing from where they're from. It is. Something is definitely missing from where they are coming from, right? And it makes you wonder why. So they want to come here because something is missing in their own homeland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are trying to understand what it could be because it's killing us. It's really killing us because there's something missing there. Now, immigration, you know, and you think about how this matter is taking place. What is really going on with this? Why are we living like this? You know, and whoever comes into play, you know, is it going to be, it's not going to ever have our benefit. It's just not designed for that purpose. You know, it's not. Unfortunately, it just isn't. You know, they look at us as being less than human. That doesn't change.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why when I look at this breakdown, all the way from 2010 when George Bush Sr. was in office, and you want to sit there and try to put it on Obama, or you want to put it on the daggone Obama party, you want to put it on the Biden and Harris party, you want to put it under their administration that they're the reason why all these illegals are in this country, as they want to call them aliens instead of immigrants. So let's look at this breakdown. Mexico, this is all as of 2010 under a Republican administration. Mexico, 404,365. Guatemala, 18,406. El Salvador, 13,723. Honduras, 13,580. Ecuador, 1,777. The Dominican Republic, 1,330. China, People of Republic, 1,157. Nicaragua, 909. Brazil, 812. Cuba, 712. Canada, 690. And there were 5,921 other countries that came into this country that they had no idea where they were from. And this is all under and as of 2010 under a Republican administration, which was George Bush Sr.
Let's see.
So how can you say it falls under, this is Biden's doing?
long before Biden even took office as president. They don't ever want you to know their responsibility. And this is why this country would never, ever be where it's supposed to be. We need a woman president. It's just that simple. And I hope Harris will definitely be the one that we need. Because man has screwed this country up in so many different ways. He is no longer prepared to do the right thing. You will want it to be that way, but he's just incapable of doing the right thing.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree.
Man
So,
is just
this
not
is-
cut out to do what's right. Not in this instance.
I agree.
Mhm.
Because anytime you want to accuse the Biden administration, okay, of saying at least 750,000 illegal aliens entered into the United States from the border, no, these people were already here.
Yeah.
These people were already here. Don't sugarcoat the lie to pinpoint it on an administration that you really wanted to fall on. Because
Mhm.
if you want the truth, all you gotta do is look for it. It's right there.
Right.
These people were coming in long before Biden became president, long before Obama became president, long before he was even in office.
That's right.
Okay?
Mhm.
Long before then, but you wanted with your people that created this here, they had an opportunity to not allow this to happen,
Yes,
but they
did.
went along with it.
Mhm.
So I want to also move forward and talk about the department under the DOJ. Okay?
Mhm.
Let's talk about the department of the DOJ. The AG is the Deputy Attorney General. This is the position. He or she carries a great deal of authority in setting policies for the rest of the department. And let's look at what's under this department of the Deputy Attorney General.
Mhm.
Civil Rights Division, Civil Division, Criminal Division, Antitrust Division, National Security Division, Tax Division. Okay? 94 United States Attorney's offices, the law enforcement authorities are all under the DOJ, FBI, DEA, ATF, Task Force. And he wants to defund them. You want to control them.
The whole thing is based upon one thing: control. Keep in mind, Trump is a sick puppy. He has to control everything. Everything. This is the way he views people, his life, everything. If he's not in control, he feels he's the only one that can make it right. Remember, that's the crap he was saying before. But we know better. We really do know better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the fact that he wants to say the people that disagrees with this project, especially when it talks about color, slavery,
Yeah.
or the people of this world, period,
Mm-hmm.
that's in the United States, we're colorblind. We're colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being colorblind. It's about wanting to live in unity.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something that is also being attacked in this Project 2025. And now we come down to the wire of our last question that we are going to talk about, which is the LGBTQ community. You can
Right.
find this on page 584.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, all of us grew up in church. We
Right.
all know what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And by God, we must all live or follow by that Bible. However, as an individual, my heart, my feelings, you have a right to love who you want to love.
Okay.
You have a right to be with who you want to be with.
Okay.
Okay? So, basically, what Project 2025 wants to do is, and this is what it says under there will be a newly agency put into place to uphold that families are between a marriage couple consistent with a father, mother, and a child or children, and to redirect any federal funds supporting a biblical based definition of a family. That's what, based on a family, a marriage, this is what a family and a marriage is supposed to be, based on biblical terms. However, in today's society, we are allowing the LBGT community to marry, to adopt children, buy homes together, put them on our life insurance policy as our spouses. We are allowing sex changes. We are allowing them to be put down as our spouses and workplaces and other things. So under Project 2025 and T, this is going to be your question.
My question?
No, T.
Yes.
This is going to be for you. Under the Project 2025, replacing all policies related to the LGBT community by cutting equity with those support that formation in stable marriage, families, adoption, foster care, okay, married couples, allowing same-sex marriage to adopt children. This is what they want to take away. What is your input on this Project 2025 and what they're trying to do under Trump's own policy proposal?
Well, first off, I am an advocate and I am a part of the LGBTQ community, and I did grow up in church, and I know God is real, and all of that because He has kept me thus far. I would like to say that the whole idea of love and family isn't always what people picture it to be. It's not always, a husband, a wife, and a child or children. You know what I mean? Clearly, we see in this day and age that it's, basically anybody that you can imagine can be a family and raise children. I feel like if the children aren't being heard in any way, just as women can have the right to say about their reproductive system, I feel like the LGBTQ community has the right to love who they love, and still treat people the same way, with dignity, and compassion, and still raise a family just as well as a heterosexual family and or group. I feel like it's none of his business, first and foremost, meaning Trump or his predecessors or the people that are around him. So for him to kind of stick his nose in that is false. It shouldn't happen. I feel like the funding, it's already limited funding with different things, especially, people judge off of what they see. So, it's already hard for families in the LGBTQ community to go different places and not be looked at weird or fill out applications and then they see two women or two men, and just different things like that. Everybody has their opinions. Opinions are like, air you breathe. Everybody got to breathe it, but it's not up to you to dictate who I can love or who anyone else can love. I just feel like he's really on thin ice, and if it happens to happen, as far as the defunding of whatever that they give them, because I feel like that community is kind of, we already out here on our own anyway. You know what I'm saying? It'll just make the community stronger within itself, and will make folks hate him. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't gotta be gung ho on anything that I do. I just ask for the respect and or the love if you're a family or friend or anything like that. Now, like I said, he's sticking his nose in other people's business, and he shouldn't. Now, if somebody want to go ahead and get a change, whether it's them, going to go get, their bottoms changed, or get their tops cut off or whatever, again, that's none of his business. A lot of times insurance doesn't cover that, and people really come out their pockets for that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they want. You know what I mean? Because they don't feel right in the body, that they were born in. And who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like uh Trump shouldn't judge, and should again mind his business and leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? I think that's his problem with a lot of stuff. He don't know how to leave it alone. Like it was said earlier, he just kind of wants to stick his nose in different aspects of people's lives. It's not stopping his money flow. It's not stopping his family from going different vacation spots and living how they live. So why would you want to stop that from a loving family that wants children or has children or are raising their children, you know what I mean, as being loving people? If they're not raising little excuse my language, badass kids, or you know what I'm saying, people out here that's blowing up schools and just different things like that, then what is it to you? You know what I mean? What is it to you? So I mean, I hope that answered your question, and that's just my take on it.
Okay, so how would you feel about the uh, LB, the the LQB? Every time I go to say that, I actually got to have it like sitting in front of me, because trying to get the LGBTQ out, it always come up either I'm
Go
twisting
wash
my
your hands.
words around. But even under that, the LGBTQ community, for those that are not or don't have children that want to adopt, do you think that it confuses a child to see the same sex together? How do you propose to teach that child that you have the option to date heterosexually if you choose?
I raised four. I'm sorry to cut you off. I raised four boys. You know what I mean? I still have, my younger son is 13, and I have a 16-year-old. They are very familiar, and I was married to their dad at one point. They are very familiar that their mom likes or is in love with a female. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to talk to children. Now, granted, some children are young and they might not understand, but I feel like if this person isn't, bashing mommy or daddy in the head, and you see nothing but love, you know what I'm saying, then again, the child will understand, because the parents are talking to them. This is why conversations are very important. And you can start a conversation when they're young, and if they have questions. Yeah, some of the questions might be a little awkward or whatever the case, but there's awkward because their peers or other people they see are, twisting their lip up or talking about it, and then they're coming home telling their mommies or daddies or whomever, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. That's where the conversation comes in. We all were taught to love and treat people with respect. You know what I'm saying? And if you can do that, if you start the conversation early, then it won't go out of whack, and it won't be nothing to really, talk about in the later years. You know what I'm saying? I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. That was awesome. That was an awesome response, T. And I truly appreciate you for answering that question. And so many, I don't think there is not a family out here that doesn't have a family member that's not of that community.
Right.
That, that may have said, or for a parent, that may say, Dad, I wish, my child may not have been gay, because they may want, grandchildren.
Right.
Or how would, I think it's a two-way street, especially when a woman gives birth to a male child, and that male child decides, well, I want to save up for a to become transgender.
Right.
I
It
guess
does
I ain't gonna
do
take the
something
movie
to
forward.
it
I
does do something to that parent.
right. I felt
Because
like
it's like, wow.
right.
You
No,
know,
it is. It'll be a shock. Right.
it's a mutual respect, I think. I think it's a mutual respect that should be given between that child and that parent to know how they both truly feel.
I agree. I agree. And this is why it's so much. It's groups out here. If a parent is not sure how to handle it themselves, people be on Facebook and Instagram all the time. It's physical groups, support groups. If you're unsure, you know what I mean. For sure, you know you love your child. So with that,
Right.
love should be able to withhold or
So
withstand anything.
I have seen, not to cut you off, but I have seen parents literally disown that child
Absolutely, same,
because they made that decision, because
same.
it's a hurtful feeling on both ends.
Right.
You
No,
know,
I
it's a
agree.
hurtful
I agree.
feeling on both ends.
Right. And then because of that, the LGBTQ community has people like again, my family is the people that I choose it to be. Now, granted, of course, you know your DNA is your DNA. So yeah, technically, you know who your family is. You know what I'm saying? But my family is who I choose
Right.
it to be. So in the LGBTQ community, they have people that take on these motherly roles. You know what I mean? These fatherly roles that are there. They build relationships with people that become sisters, that become brothers, that become cousins. You know what I'm saying? So with that
Wow.
support of that family, then the family that I was born to, I don't really need them. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. They can feel how they feel. You know what I mean? You just still got to respect me at the end of the day as being human. And if you don't do that, then
Wow. Wow. That is amazing.
no,
That
absolutely.
is definitely amazing.
Absolutely. So it is, like I said, it's still
Absolutely.
hope, and it's still, people out here to help you if you're unsure how to navigate. And again, family should be able to stick
Hello,
See,
my
you
hello.
kind of
son,
put it
not my daughter. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a thing for sure.
okay. Well, I thank you for your input. We have now came down to the last few minutes or so of the show. And I personally want to thank everyone who joined today. And this is not going to be our last set, talk about this project 2025. I would like for all of us to get out there to spread it. Share this. When this thing airs tonight, share it. Let
Absolutely.
people see that this is actually going on. Anytime any one of y'all want to come on a show and talk about something that y'all feel that is an attack on you as an individual, a female, a male, or a person, a human being, the Eyes of Life show is more than welcome to hear your personal story. We can always be reached at the Eyes of Life show at gmail.com. If you would like to contribute to the Eyes of Life show, you can contribute to our Cash App, which is $, the Eyes of Life show. Once again, Yolo Schubert appreciates everything that you guys have brought to the discussion today. And I just want to thank you.
You're welcome, cousin. Thank you for having me.
It was an amazing discussion. I'm
You're
going
welcome, Mom.
that my executive assistant, Zanai,
She told me to tell y'all that her phone died and she couldn't get on, so that's why she had to leave the chat. But she love y'all.
Okay.
Love her too.
Okay. Well, I want to thank her from the bottom of my heart with doing this for me, and I apologize for any hiccups that occurred. Once again, I have to make sure after her phone died that this actually continued to record. So I'm actually having still some computer issues myself. But if we need to do this again, definitely we will do it again.
Yep, you know how to reach me.
Forward, and I will be getting back with you guys later on this evening.
All right.
I appreciate you, and everybody have a wonderful and blessed evening.
You also.
You
Y'all be
too.
safe.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Yolanda, you did great.
Yeah.
Right
And
now.
I'm looking forward to the next time. I'm
Absolutely.
hoping this will be a beginning. Okay? Keep that in mind.
Send their hugs and kisses all the way from Texas.
Huh? We got to get some more men on here.
Yeah.
Talk in a few minutes. Give me a minute, Maurice.
All right.
I can help you until 6:30, Yolanda. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just need to make sure this is actually cut off.
Okay.
All right. I'm out of here. See y'all later.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. Now you too. All right.
Okay. You did extremely well today.
Thank you. I'm just so disappointed at my computer right now. I mean, it's literally locked, it's frozen, everything. I
Right.
can't, it ain't even letting my mouse move about. It is literally completely frozen.
Right.
And I have no idea what's going on with it.
Okay.
So I'm praying and hoping that this continue to record.
There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, one of my biggest concerns is that we don't sleep on this. You know, because we can't afford to. We cannot afford to. When you see what's at stake, there's no way in hell you can afford to.
I am just so disappointed at this computer right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes a fine day to want to conk out, to want to act up. I mean, after working so well all week long today, it decide
they're like a butthole, right?
Act up.
They're like a butthole today.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So, and something that's so important as this.
Yeah.
To act up is what's really bothering me. Like when I tell you my mouse is not even moving,
right?
It's not even moving, and I'm trying to literally shut my computer down.
Damn. That's not good.
I have all control, delete, and everything, and when I say nothing is moving.
Yeah, what could cause that? Wow.
I don't know if y'all could hear the humming in the background.
Right.
That I was hearing. But my computer totally just started humming out of nowhere.
Okay.
And it's still humming. That's why I said I don't know if y'all can hear it. If y'all can
Yeah, that's strange. It really is.
Yeah, and I'm just disappointed at this point with these laptops. I really need to get a new laptop. I need to get 2 new laptops, and that's the sad part about it.
Right.
I really do. Because one, believe it or not, the cord is actually in the charger port. And all I did was move it.
Right.
And it literally stopped charging. All I did was move the laptop left or right. It cut the charge completely off.
Damn. That is strange.
So I have no idea what's going on with this here at this point.
Right.
So, and I'm a little perturbed about it because it's where I do my work.
Right. Yeah. Damn.
And if
Yeah.
all day you decide to want to do this, oh,
Just want to be a butthole today.
yeah. And when I tell you before,
Mm-hmm.
I started signing in and everything, it was working fine, no problem.
Right.
I was in there, I set up the stage, everything, and it just out of the clear blue. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't have the USB plugged in, because they tell you to plug the USB in
Right.
to give
Right.
it an extra, you get a higher signal. Once it's plugged directly into the modem.
Right. Damn.
And I'm still getting a bad signal. So that's why I said, even if we have to do this show again, I'm all for it, because this was an awesome show.
I think so. I really do. I think it was great. You have nothing to feel bad about at all. A lot of good
I'm
information.
just upset it didn't do what I needed it to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I can't even go on, I will have to get denied once her phone charges
Right.
to actually go in or go on her tablet, her iPad, and actually go into the actual portal.
Yeah.
But I'm going to notify StreamYard and tell StreamYard that this was very poor. I actually paid to get the upgrade for StreamYard. And then for me to get the quality and the performance that I received today is definitely not acceptable.
Right. That's true.
I mean, it is literally humming.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't know if it's the laptop that's humming, like it's about to blow.
Right.
It's definitely humming like it's about to blow up.
Damn.
So I have no clue on what's going on there.
Right.
But definitely this was awesome. That's awesome. It was amazing. I enjoyed it.
You did great. You did great. I'm telling you.
So surprised how many people, like there were 2 other people that were supposed to join us, and they didn't. I know our cousin Dee. I know Dee Dee is tending to my aunt because she's ill and she's had another stroke.
Right.
Okay. And unfortunately, it was just this thing acting a fool.
Yeah. Technology, as you already know, will do that. You know what I mean?
I was just like so looking forward.
Yeah, but you did well. You did well. So you got nothing to feel bad about.
Oh, Lordy.
Well,
I feel bad because it didn't go as I planned. I wanted to be when I do things, I'm a little perfectionist. So when I do things, I like things to go well as planned. and not planned.
Right.
You know, so I'm gonna have to get on here and see about Google about finding me 2 laptops now.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna have to do before I can continue with season 2 of the Other Life show. Because it's not gonna work with every time I turn around, I'm dealing with this. I need update unless I can find a geek squad to take my laptops to and get them to fix it.
Right.
That's the only thing.
Hmm.
I would have to do that.
Okay. And you'll be able to
Because I
find.
know,
You'll be able to find one.
yeah,
Yeah, geese
that's what I'm
squads
gonna do.
everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's just finding them. I know where I can find them at in Philly where I grew up at, but
Mhm.
I don't know about here unless I can find a Best Buy.
In Delmar,
And I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I know that will require me to go back to Dover.
Right.
I know they had a Best Buy on 13,
Mm-hmm.
not too far from the Dover Mall.
Right. That's where it is. That's where I go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we definitely got to build up some more stuff.
So what, Yolanda? Got to do what now?
Definitely have to go over some more stuff.
Yeah, because I found it to be quite interesting because there's a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to doing, you know, with my group because it's
Mhm.
important. Mhm. It's important. As I was mentioning to you about my Cheney alumni group and what we're doing and what's needed. There's some serious stuff out here. The sad part about it, here we are in this day and age, and we're still talking about shit like this. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you don't want to give us our 250,000.
Yeah,
No, it was 350,000. $1 for each year we have been out of slavery and still suffering.
Right. Right. So this is gonna be this Project 25 is just what it is. It's going to be something.
Oh, something ain't the word.
Mm-hmm.
As my husband says, somebody gonna take him out of here.
They've tried twice.
But a lot of people think that was a hoax.